Welcome to this week's episode of Time Out with GC. As you know, on the show, we like to find those stories or individuals that are, in my opinion, heroes or a light within communities. And we believe in inspiring, motivating, and educating. My following guest is Clint Crowster. Clint, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Gershon.
He has a book that he calls Super Fired Up and Focused. But I'm going to say today, he's super suited up and focused.
Nice one. I like that.
Yeah, I like the suit. I love it.
Cheers.
Yeah. So Clint has a book. We'll talk about it. It's called Super Fired Up and Focused. But he decided to be super suited up and focused.
That's right. Listen, my mom taught me well. She said, when you go and meet important people, always wear your best.
My mom said, just be comfortable. So I decided to be comfortable.
Cheers.
Now, Clint Crowster is the CEO of a company called AskOsca. You're going to ask me, what is AskOsca? Clint is here to explain it. Man, you've got a remarkable journey. Grew up in Mitchell's Plain, Portland's, Poshlands, like we used to say it if you lived in Mitchell's Plain. And you find yourself fast-tracked to being the owner of your very own company. But man, that journey in Mitchell's Plain always starts with dreams looking at the mountain.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. In fact, that dream started by wanting to become a lawyer or an engineer or an accountant. But that didn't work out for me. So after Mitchell's Plain, living there for 12 years, we moved to Grassy Park. And it was in Grassy Park where I then went to attended Museumberg. After Museumberg, tried my hand at university, UCT, but I couldn't do the business there. Thought I was a failure and didn't know where I was going to go next with my life.
In any success story, there has to be failure. Self-doubt, long hours. Man, people don't see that. They only see the success. They see the man in the suit, but they don't see the man that has all those attributes that is, you can say, that makes you be successful.
Absolutely. I mean, I always believe that if you blink, you're going to miss an opportunity. One of the key things that I think I've taught myself, or I've learned and also learned from others, is to be able to spot an opportunity. Because it's only when you can spot an opportunity that you can seize an opportunity. Now, spotting an opportunity is not just as easy as somebody making something available for you. You've got to really look at how that fits into your life and whether you've got the right skills and attribute to make that opportunity happen for you, and then run with it, basically. But it's long hours, yes, and it's lots of doubt in your own ability. But the only thing that carries you and keeps you going is your why. And that's always been my family and the legacy I would love to leave for them. And that's what fuels me every day.
Now, Clint Crowster worked in a call center. A year in the company, they decide to start retrenching people. And you know how that goes. You see that letter, this letter, that email. And Clint decides, I'm not going to wait for them to come to me. I'm going to go to my boss and say, excuse me, I'm going to be retrenched.
Absolutely. It wasn't actually the first time that I was in a company where that was taking place. The first time it happened was with a company that I was besotted with. I was in love with this company because this company taught me everything that there was for me to know in the contact center industry. It was also an outsourcer. We were in town in the foreshore. I worked there for about 7 years. And it was at this company that I tried to sort of recreate myself again after failing at university on a couple of occasions. It was at this company where I sort of told myself that I'm going to use this company because they were owned by international owners in the UK. I was going to use this company as my institution, as my place of learning. I wanted to know everything there was to know about the contact center space and the outsourcing world. And for 7 years, we did really well as a company. A couple of changes took place, and then they went bust. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they told us to pack our bags and come over to the International Convention Center in Cape Town for a meeting. It was there that they told us that the company is liquidating. I was heartsore. I was heartbroken because all my dreams were at this institution. I could see myself running it one day even. And I grew there from agent to all the different sort of supervisory and management levels that you get in a contact center. So when that took place, I needed to find another home. I found that home at two other different contact centers, one being a BPO, similar to where I came from, and the other being a captive contact center where they own their own sort of product. That company was RCS. And at those two companies, they were great, they were amazing, but it just didn't have that same kind of
It
culture.
didn't feel like home.
Yeah, it didn't feel like home. And for me, the company I was at for 7 years, that was my home. So then after those two, I ended up at the one where I was retrenched again. I was there for a year. But at this company, it was people were being retrenched left, right, and center. I couldn't just be at a company like that where people were losing their jobs for no reason, for a reason we weren't aware, because as far as we were concerned, the business was doing well. I couldn't see that happening to people. And then I rang up an ex-client of mine that I worked with since 2003, and I said to her, I want to start my own thing. However many seats you've got available, give me a few, I'll find a place, I'll make this work. She gave me 3 seats. I found a place in Bree Street who rented seats. Now, I couldn't afford a space in town because they charge you per square meter. So I found a place that would rent you call center seats within their vacant sort of space in town, in Bree Street. So I started with 3 seats. So my rent was X amount of rand per month times those 3 seats.
Be honest, man, what did it cost you?
9,000 rand a month.
Okay, for 3 spaces.
Yeah, 3 seats, 3,000 rand a seat. Or was it between 2,000 and 3,000 rand per seat per month? You just get the desk, the PC, that's it. You'd have to pay the internet costs, you'd have to pay the telephone costs.
So you could be looking at what, up to 20,000 rand?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I got a package, a severance package. And that's normally 1 month's notice in salary at your previous company. And it's all your annual leave, and it's then severance pay. 1 week's salary for every year worked. So I only had 1 week's worth of severance pay. All of that totaled up to about 70,000 rand. I was the operations manager there, so I earned a decent salary. With that 70,000 rand, my wife and I decided, right, this is where we're going. This is what we're going to do. We're applying all the money in there. Never mind the bond that needed to get paid or the car installment that needed to get paid. We're going to plow the money in there. We're going to make it work. And that's where we're going to get our income from. So I naturally put out the ads on Gumtree I used initially. And you'd be surprised that, you're not nobody knows of your company. You're an office in town. Nobody knows what your business does. But the amount of applications you get for work is just astonishing, right? And obviously that's because of the unemployment rate that's so high in South Africa. So a lot of people apply, and it's people with no call center experience at all, but that's what I want, right? I want to give people that skill.
You want that raw diamond, yeah.
Absolutely, because it benefited me. It gave me an opportunity to forge a career for myself, and gave me an opportunity to do things I've never done before and see places I've never seen before. So I want to do that for people with absolutely no skill in the industry at all. That for me is one of the main reasons I also do this, to see someone's lifestyle improve after you give them the skills, after they apply the skills and better themselves sort of professionally and personally. It warms my heart always. It's the number one reason I believe that all leaders are in business, and that is to develop their people, to help them improve their lifestyles, to help them move forward in their lives, So that is the perfect individual, and that is how AskOsca was born. And that is AskOsca's main objective. That is to improve the lifestyles of the people in and around its community. After Bree Street, we were there for a year. Now, I told you about between 2,000 and 3,000 rand per seat. As we started doing well in the business, we grew. And by growing, I mean our number of seats in the organization increased. We grew to about 30 seats in the space of that 1 year because of the good work we were producing for our client in the US and our client in the UK. And as we grew, the landlord kept pushing out the cost per seat. So at one stage, it went up to 3,500 rand per seat. So 3,500 rand per seat times 30 people. Do the math, 240K plus 150. That's a lot of money for rental only. And it's way more money than paying a rental for the building. And obviously I'm new in business and I'm learning all these things and I'm making these mistakes and I'm paying unnecessary money that I shouldn't be paying. And the wife and I go, we live in a 4-bedroom home in Grassy Park. It's a home that I purchased from my parents who sold it to me eventually. The home where I grew up basically since 1991. Let's knock down all the walls in Grassy Park and turn it into an open plan contact center. We did that. We turned the, we only left about, I think, 2 rooms for ourselves. So it was the 2 spare rooms, the lounge, dining room and kitchen, and one of the toilets. The ensuite, my old bedroom I grew up in, which was now my son's, and our main bedroom where my wife and I lived. We lived in those 2 bedrooms, and the rest of the house, we had 30 guys in there making calls either to the UK or the US or somewhere else in Europe. So whilst wifey and kids were sleeping, my US guys were still working.
And that is 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Clint Crowster is my guest this week. We'll continue our conversation after the break. We'll talk about his book. We'll talk about how he gets his staff super fired up and focused. I've seen videos of how he does it. It feels like I'm at a boxing ring or something, or watching the Wall Street or the Wolf of Wall Street or something like that. We'll find it from him. And also his journey to becoming a self-publisher, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, self-publisher about his book. And how he got these 2 copies to me in studio. It's a very interesting story. We'll see you after the break.